the way, was John C. Killicoon, to have these individuals just revered. Do you understand how a black, you may not, but as a black man, let me tell you, that is very, very painful.
Don't talk condescendingly.
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying that is very painful. And the reason that is painful, and this conversation has to be uncomfortable, the reason that is painful is because
I'm comfortable having these conversations. Let me say, listen, you have to be able to separate some things. There's no question about it. Look, I understand you can be empathetic to understand how you're coming from and where we're coming from. Some of these monuments in Virginia, for example, and there are millions of Virginians who don't support this because some of these are their families, some of those are sacred monuments to war dead. Those are big issues, and their history is very layered. Let me paraphrase the black mayor of Richmond, LeVar Stoney, who's a great man, who said a couple months ago, this has since changed, but a couple months ago he said, because of politics, but he said, keep the statues, but teach the context. Create more statues to teach history and the context. That is extremely important. Our history is not perfect, it's imperfect, but we have the ability to move towards a more perfect union, and most countries don't have that.
We're just going to take a very quick break and continue this conversation. We just have to pay some bills. Stick around.
Fries for 316, please. Thank you.
David, what's going on?
Oh, hey.
That's it?
Yeah. Everybody, 2 seconds. Dear Sebastian, after careful consideration of your application, it is with great pleasure that we offer our congratulations on your acceptance.
Through the Tuition Assistance Program, every day, McDonald's helps more people go to college. It's part of our commitment to being America's best first job.
Do you think you've seen everything? Let's talk about that when you get here. The United States Virgin Islands.
Why so troubled, Thomas?
I'm having a bad day.
It's my father doing it.
Who does he live?
It's about my mother.
You can get any man you want in this city.
Could I get you? You've got no idea how the world works.
I know some things.
Is there anything you want to tell me? Have you ever been in love? People think they're in love, and it's something completely different.
Rated R.
No splashing! Wait, so you got rid of Verizon just like that?
I switched to T-Mobile, kept my phone, everything on it. Oh, I even paid it off.
Wow.
Yeah. It's nice that every bad decision doesn't have to be permanent.
Ditch Verizon, keep your phone. We'll even pay it off when you switch to America's best unlimited network.
The U.S. needs to develop more renewable and clean energy resources because there are limits to the amount of fossil fuels that we can burn.
Since 1925, we have depended on diesel generators, burning approximately 1 million gallons of diesel fuel a year.
We're going through an energy revolution. Our mission is to make offshore wind one of the principal new sources of energy. Not every bank is willing to get involved in a first-of-its-kind project. The city really stepped up when we needed them. Cities saw the promise of clean energy, and they worked really closely with us, financing the first offshore wind farm in the United States. The wind farm will lower power prices. We're polluting the air less. Businesses and homes can rely on a steady source of power. The Block Island Wind Farm is a catalyst. This will be the first of many offshore wind farms in the U.S.
Tomorrow night, House Speaker Paul Ryan faces voters in a live CNN town hall. A country divided, a party at odds, an agenda stalled. How did Trump and Ryan come back? Jake Tapper moderates the CNN Paul Ryan Town Hall. Tomorrow night at 9, only on CNN.
People buy Moen shower heads for their amazing spray power. I say the way magnetic snaps back into place is a game changer. Now, if only Moen could help me get some privacy in here. Moen, buy it for looks, buy it for life.
If a patient doesn't have time to clean between their teeth, I don't give them a lecture. I give them options.
Gum brand for healthy gums. Soft Picks rubber bristles clean comfortably. New flossers for better comfort and control. Dentist hygienist recommended.
Healthy gums matter.
Invisalign clear aligners are made with Smart Track material to precisely move your teeth to your best smile. See how Invisalign treatment can shape your smile up to 50% faster today at Invisalign.com.
Dry mouth can really affect how your mouth feels and how you feel. Discover Act Dry Mouth, specially formulated to soothe and moisturize your mouth, even freshen breath, so nothing holds you back. Act Dry Mouth, relief when you need it.
CNN Films presents Elian, Thursday on CNN.
We're back with our panel. I want to put something up in the midst of this essential but admittedly uncomfortable conversation. Here are the covers of the Time magazine, The Economist, and The New Yorker, all with President Trump or thereabouts, tying him to a Nazi salute and twice to the Klan. Senator Santorum, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, the fact that we're having this conversation is a good thing. The fact is that we don't have this conversation very often because it does tend to descend into that, which is, you know, okay, if you have any, if you speak out at all and try to have any kind of conversation about this from a conservative perspective, well, you're just, you know, you're a bigot, you're a racist. And the reality is that there are real problems in this country, that some of them are race is an issue, but there are a lot of issues that cut across that. And I think that's the fact that everything gets conflated, that it's race, I just think is wrong. I mean, the reality is that there are a lot of people in this country who are suffering. I don't think it's class either. I don't accept there are classes in America, like there are in other countries in the world, but there are people who are hurting, that we have to have solutions and be able to address those. And when the issue is, if it happens to be a minority, that somehow the condition is because of their race, I think it just obscures the larger problem, and that's where I think the discussion needs to rest.
Nina?
I mean, it's just our unwillingness to really deal with this. I mean, every generation we're hit with something that reminds us of how we started as a country. Yes, there's lots of suffering in this country, but a lot of the undercurrents of that suffering we can link in some way to race and or class. And that is how this country was founded, this whole revisionist history about, you know, the framers, all men are created equal, when we know good and daggone well that all men were not created equal when the framers wrote those words. Now, the fact that they wrote to form a more perfect union somewhere in there, that's what we're doing generation after generation. But not to be able to sit here and tell the truth about these issues. And every time African Americans want to talk about the injustices that happen to them in this country, all of a sudden they're told, no, 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 your pain, you didn't hurt that much, or what's happening to you and your neighbors and down the street is not really that much pain. When Bakari brought up the Flint, Michigan, that whole thing, in terms of the fact that they still, almost 4 years, still do not have the infrastructure that is necessary to give them clean water. Now, I will add a point that there are 3,000 other areas in this country where the lead levels are higher than Flint, Michigan. But when you look at environmental injustice or environmental racism, you look at communities, mainly communities of color, and then on the other side, communities that are poor. So we got to deal with this.
So, Bakari, let me ask you, the idea of the framers writing all men are created equal, it seems to a lot of people that the aspirations of the framers, and remember it says all men, it doesn't even mention women,
right.
The aspirations are what's important, not necessarily who they were at that moment in time. Is that not a fair argument?
I think that's a legitimate argument. I think, and that helps us in this argument where Donald Trump was somewhat perverting history by equating Robert E. Lee to George Washington. We know that one was an aspirational figure who, although he owned slaves, and we need to reckon with that and deal with that. We have to deal with that and understand that. His goal was a more perfect union. Robert E. Lee thought that slavery was actually good for the mentality of the African American, or the African. He thought that was good for people who look like me. And that's not where we are. But I have to comment quickly because I want Senator Santorum to understand that I want his voice to be a part of this discussion. Like, you are a white evangelical Christian, and you... Catholic, sorry.
But the evangelicals love him.
But evangelicals love you. But we still want you to be a part of the conversation, and your voice is necessary, because what we saw Saturday in Charlottesville, those people weren't fringe elements. Those were bankers and physician's assistants, and they're teachers and college students.
That's important. I think that there were...
I mean, the neo-Nazi fascists. I'm saying those are real people.
of course they're real people, but there is a very, very small piece of the population that got a tremendous amount of headlines. And for whatever reason, we can argue why they got that headline. I think it is important. One of the things that you said, it's important to understand who Washington was. It's important to understand who Robert E. Lee was. It's important to understand how we are where we are today. And I think what's important, and I've been to many countries around the world where you don't have racial justice and no mechanism to be able to move in that direction. There are many problems today, and I acknowledge those, and I love this conversation. I think it's great, and I'm working towards this in Congress to deal with some of these issues. But the reality is our imperfect history, our imperfect union has a mechanism to get better. Now, it could be faster for some people. There's no question about that. But the reality is, thank God that we have the ability to improve, like many other countries do not.
Thank you, one and all. I'm sorry. Thank you. This was a great conversation to be continued, hopefully, all over America for the next few decades. These topics are sure to come up tomorrow night when I'm going to be moderating an exclusive town hall with House Speaker Paul Ryan. He'll take questions from voters and constituents. That's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern right here on CNN. Stay with us.
Booking a flight at the last minute doesn't have to be expensive. Just go to Priceline. It's the best place to book a flight a few days before my trip and still save up to 40%. Just tap and go. And while I'm gone, I can even check on my baby with this doggy cam. Oh, Jax, you're such a good boy. No, Jax, what are you doing? Bad dog. And if you need to get back home, like right now, Priceline has you covered.
It's time for the biggest sale of the year with the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. It senses and automatically adjusts on both sides. The new 360 Smart Bed is part of our biggest sale of the year where all beds are on sale. And right now, save 50% on the Labor Day limited edition bed.
Nirvana gave the record industry a wake-up call. Country was a huge part of my life.
What did she say? Women can say that?
The 90s, tonight at 9.
You know you get 3 courses, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's back at Ruby Tuesday. For just $13.99, enjoy our endless garden bar, choice of 3 entree favorites and 2 new desserts.
I can't do it.
Rookie mistake. Enjoy 3 courses, just $13.99 at Ruby Tuesday Garden Bar and Grill.
Closed captioning brought to you by ACT Oral Care. For a healthier mouth, go beyond brushing with ACT.
Megan's smile is getting a lot of attention because she uses ACT mouthwash. ACT strengthens enamel, protects teeth from harmful acids, and helps prevent cavities. Go beyond brushing with ACT.
Welcome back. In just over 24 hours, this nation will experience something that hasn't happened in nearly 100 years, a coast-to-coast solar eclipse. But in a way, we have been experiencing this phenomenon for more than a year. And that's the subject of this week's State of the Cartoonia. As the sun rises and a new week begins, it occurs to us there's been a lot of news on the horizon that perhaps hasn't gotten the light it deserved. A Republican Congressman, Dana Rohrabacher, met with fugitive WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. NASA launched its newest communications satellite, hoping to relay data from the Hubble and other spacecraft. The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, strongly criticized Chicago's sanctuary city policy, saying the rule of law has broken down. And Kim Kardashian revealed President Obama was her partner the one and only time she did karaoke.
It was so cool. It was with Obama, Kanye, and like maybe 15 people.
And now we're just hours away from another huge news event. The first solar eclipse visible coast to coast in the United States since 1918. You're forgiven if you've missed one or all of these stories. Something else has been eclipsing other news quite often.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. You have to see what